Everything comes to he who waits, and I have waited so very long for this moment. Oh, yeah. Here we go. This is. Got another unboxing for you today. It's from the Masterverse line, and it is the Masters of the Universe Skeletor figure. Nowhere on this package does it say that it's from the 1987 movie, but it's from the 1987 movie. Nowhere on this package does it say it's Frank Langella, but it is indeed Frank Langella. And Retro Tinker is here. Good day to you, sir. All right. So I'm really excited. I finally got this figure to open up. I've been wanting an action figure of Frank Langella as Skeletor since 1987. Finally got one. They've made one other previous one in the Masters Universe Classics line, actually two, because they made God Skeletor too. But unfortunately, I was unable to get those at the time because reasons I won't get into. I just did not have the money for it. And then when these came out, they pretty much just sold out instantly at like the pre-order level. So, and you might remember a while back, I was able to get He-Man when they reissued He-Man. Not able to get Skeletor that time, but Big Bad Toy Store got these in for, I guess it's at least the third time by now. So I was able to get that really nice piece of artwork on the back. Uh, with Skeletor with the Havoc staff and the sword and the eye behind them that's opened up, and we see the entire cosmos. Got cross-cell artwork on the back here. Most of these figures I do not have. I don't have Frosta. I don't have Evelyn in her sorceress outfit, and I don't have Roboto. But hopefully I can get those eventually because they are nice-looking figures. I do have Stratos, so we do remember me opening up Stratos. And as I mentioned before, I do have He-Man. So that's what that side of it just says Skeletor. This has got like a really nice piece of artwork of Skeletor on the side here, a nice wicked grin on his face, and he's got the cosmic key. So let's go ahead and open him up. I don't think that they actually have the rights to the movie per se, which is why it doesn't have the movie logo, doesn't mention anything about the movie on the package, and why He-Man doesn't look anything like Dolph Lundgren. I think they have the rights to the designs for the characters, but not for the actual movie itself, if that makes any sense. Bobby Wald says, I like that Netflix series, The Toys That Made Us, episode where Frank Langella was talking about how he was ripped and could have done the movie shirtless. Yeah, and like they got him wearing like this kind of spandexy outfit, and spandex kind of compresses the muscles actually. So we really did not get to see the fully ripped. I think he was just. I think he would have liked to done it in body paint. Just paint him up blue like the action figure. So, and he was just great in that movie. Like, and he still says that's one of his favorite roles he's ever played. Which I love that about Frank Langella is a lot of actors might take a movie like that just for the paycheck and then kind of try to downplay it a little bit. But no, he was really passionate about the role and really enjoyed playing him. I'm sure any of you out there who are familiar with the movie, you know the story of how Langella had a young son at the time who was a big Masters of the Universe fan, and that was the main reason he took the part. Was because like he wound up, you know, having his own nostalgic attachment to it with his kid growing up, and he would play with the toys with his kid. So I've mentioned before how one of the things I really like on the original Masters Universe cartoons is oftentimes like the dad was a character on there, and he'd come on there and be asking him questions about the toys, and then play with the toys with the kids a little bit. And I liked it as being kind of a almost like a male bonding kind of thing that they were selling as part of the Masters Universe toy line. So he did have little pieces of tape holding the cape into the package, which I hate because it's going to leave residue on the cape. And you can see that it's kind of bunched up in the package here. I don't really like the way that it looks while it's in the package. So let's hope once we get it out, it'll have a little more flow to it. Oops, I dropped something. Yeah, I actually just printed this one out. This is a sword that I printed out for Faker, but we'll talk more about that on the next episode. But yeah, he's got the staff. which unfortunately mine got a little crooked, and it looks like there was a little bit of a molding issue with mine. You can see it's not quite symmetrical. This little spike should stick out a little longer. I always liked that it had this kind of rounded jewel in the back, which reminded me of the jewel that was on the original Skeletor. It looks like my Wi-Fi isn't turned on, so I'm going to turn the Wi-Fi on. That's why we had a little bit of a blip there. To that little round. God damn it! Okay, you got there. Goddamn. Sorry about that, folks. That was StreamYard. Hey, you want a great streaming experience? Try StreamYard. You see what I just got there. So, yeah, thanks, StreamYard. Anyway, let's talk about these accessories. So you can see like the staff's a little warped. I'm gonna have to reheat that and fix that. It's got the little kind of almost kind of like a tiny little ball at the end. It's not like a big ball like the original Skeletor staff had. Like the original Skeletor staffs were known for their big balls, and this just has a tiny little ball. So I guess Frank isn't having to compensate for anything. Is my guess. But yeah, you can see it is pretty close to the design that we got from the original Havoc staff. But they made it a little more movie-ish, a little more detailed. And of course, it's black. They've always got to make stuff black in the movies. And then he's even got the evil version of the Power Sword, which looks very similar to the Sword of Power, the Sword of Grayskull that He-Man himself had in the movie. That's a nice throwback to the original action figures, where those of us who remember before the Filmation cartoon, He-Man and Skeletor each had half of the Power Sword, and they kind of dropped that on the Filmation cartoon, and just like He-Man just had the whole Power Sword, and that's how it seems to be in the movie for the most part. But we do see Skeletor with his own evil version at the end. Who knows if they would have expanded on that if they had have done a sequel? And then the rest of the accessories in here, he's got some extra hands, and there is one that's a solid fist hand, and you can see it's got like some kind of circuitry Yeah, Max Games and Toys is back, and yeah, we're doing Masters of the Universe again. We've got a few that we're gonna do this week. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, this one, all that detail is just kind of painted on, but the fingernails still have the kind of detailed metal claws on there. So I'm not sure why they didn't just resculpt the whole thing. Sculpt all the detail on while they were sculpting on the fingernails, the claws. Before Glenn Close had fake nails on her gloves, Skeletor was doing that. So he's the real trendsetter there, not Cruella Deville. So I'm going to get that out of there. And then the last accessory we have is the Cosmic Key. Looking very cool, looking very close to the movie. That reminds me, I still need to get that Gwildor Orko 2-pack from Masters Universe Revolution. So I kind of want to try to get every movie figure I can get, and I think that's about as close as we're going to get to Gwildo. Max Games and Toys says, love the sword. Yeah, I think they did a really good job with that. It turned out really well. Now let's go ahead and get Skeletor himself out of the package, and I'm going to hope that this cape didn't get too permanently bunched up by how it's in there. And I thought that I'd had the... Oh, nope, there's still some more of our tabs. They were just kind of hidden. He's got one at his elbow here. And I think there was one at this other elbow, but I just kind of broke it. And then he's got them at his ankles. They just weren't where I could see them. They hid them. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, we're gonna be opening up a bunch of Masters Universe this week because like I got that huge order from Big Bad Toy Store in. So I've got the King Randor and Faker that I was already sitting on. I've got this guy. I've got the Origins Filmation version of Grizzlor. And I've got this massive 4-pack. So we've got a lot of He-Man to be opening up this week. Max Games the Toy says, yeah, the Cosmic Key, so hated on in the 80s. And oh, Chow Ni Ma is here on another account, and he says, had to nuke me. You had to nuke your account. Oh man, that sucks. But hey, you're here now, so that's cool. So at least we got that. So he's got like this belt as a separate piece, and it kind of rode up a little too high. So I'm gonna see if I can push it down. I'm not sure if it's supposed to go over like the hem of his robe or not. And man, there's a lot of really cool details on this figure that I want to talk about. But I'm gonna see if I can get this belt to slide down because I'm pretty sure it's supposed to slide down all the way like that because you want to see like a little bit of his abs, but it doesn't seem like it really wants to do that. It just seems like it keeps wanting to ride up. But it does look like that there's a little bit of a lip there, like the belt's supposed to fit over. It's just not wanting to stay down there. It would be a little more accurate to the movie if we could see a little more of his belly. So I might try to. I popped his head off. That came off really easily. And that meant his cape fell off. And this cowl that holds his cape on. Man, this episode, things are not going well for me. Like, no, the cape's still on there. All right, so I would like if this cape was a little more wide, a little more dramatic. And like I said, it got kind of crunched up in the packaging. And then we got this thing. I don't even know what you call this thing. But there's little pictures of skulls. He's got little pictures of skulls on him. Is he the baddie? Yeah, he's definitely the baddie. But you think about it, Skeletor's face is a skull. So he's got like little self portraits of himself all over. There's little wolf heads all up and down this thing and skulls. And he's got like on the hem of the robe, you see that there's like all these little armor plates, little teeny tiny armor plates, and those all have wolves and skulls on them, and various other designs. Like looks like there's beetles, and this one's just kind of like diagonal lines, and lots of cool stuff on here. He's got his boots have like a little teeny tiny skull at the top. His belt has this kind of monster on it sculpted into it. It looks almost like that could be like a wolf or a lion or something like that. And then he's got these shoulder pieces that are permanently attached to the deltoids there. They ain't coming off. And it looks like this armor is just sculpted onto the torso. So that's a new torso that we've got. He does reuse a lot of the typical Masterverse pieces, but he's got a lot of new pieces too. I think that this pelvis piece is new. It looks new to me. So I've missed a lot of stuff in the chat, so I'm gonna scroll back. Retro Tinker says a little chaos is fine. I appreciate that, but it's a little too much chaos for me at the moment. Max Games and Toys says I just take off the cape and make my own hood. I'm probably gonna make my own cape too, because like I said, this one's a little. Hey, there's a head over diecast. We had him here yesterday, so and he's back. But Bobby Wald says, I like the skit on Robot Chicken where Skeletor starts talking about his dream journal. And then Retro Tinker says, is Skeletor vain or is he just really good at promotion and marketing himself? I think it's a little bit of both. He's definitely a vain guy. So, uh, Earth Dude says, y'all ever watch Alan Belk live on Weed? Well, if you're talking about me being live on Weed, no, I've never actually touched the stuff. But it might be an interesting experience to view my show while you're chemically enhanced. I'm not suggesting that obviously, but if you already partake, it couldn't hurt, right. It might make the show better. Max Games and Toys says the face looks better than the classic. Yeah, I haven't really had a chance to look at it real quick, but we'll get right into that. And Head Over Diecast says, do you have any retro Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? I have the original ones still on a lot of things. Earthia says, I know you don't touch, but I'm sure enjoying it. Well, I don't judge. I'm like whatever you want to do, it's cool with me. So yeah, he does have a really good head sculpt, and unlike the He-Man head sculpt that looked nothing like Dolph Lundgren, I do think this looks a lot like how Skeletor looked in the movie. But like I said, I suspect what the case is that they have the rights to the movie designs, but not the actual movie itself or the likenesses. So the makeup that Frank Langella wore in the movie, I guess, is fair game. So, and he does have a very long hood that goes all the way down in the back, and you see the cowl has a little medallion that's in the back, like in the movie. So there's a lot of good details to this. He's got lots of little circuitry and panels. Remember how the forearm, the bracers would light up? He's got little silver dots on there, so it looks very movie accurate to me. Let's see if I can get his head to actually stay on this time. So, and looking at the hands on here, this actually does have the circuitry actually sculpted into the main part of the hands on the gripping hands that come on the figure. I'm not sure why they didn't do that for the extra hands. Oh well, but the thing is, I'd understand it if it was just they took the standard Skeletor hands and just repainted them to look like the movie. But you can see they actually did resculpt, like I said, the fingernails. So I don't know why they didn't just resculpt the whole thing. Also, another thing that disappoints me is I don't notice any kind of sheath to hold the sword with, and I would think that would be something that you would want to have on this figure, since he did have a sheath on his belt that he held the sword in. Maybe put it towards the back or something. I might see if I can make like an elastic loop or something like that I think might hold the sword. So and then since he's got 3 accessories that he could potentially be holding on to, you can't store all 3 of these on the figure at the same time. Like, so there's no place to hang the cosmic key either, which would have been really cool. So he can either hold the sword and the cosmic key, or hold the sword and the Havoc staff, or hold the sword, and there's combinations you can do, but he can't have all three of them on there at the same time. So I'm gonna have to see about maybe putting some kind of hook or something on there so that like the strap from the Havoc staff can hang. So the strap is what he's gonna have to hold on to it with, and with this hand, we just kind of have to loop it through the fingertips, and he can hold it like that, which doesn't really make sense with how the strap is supposed to hang off of there. But at least he can hold it. But that's why it's a good thing that he has this open hand here. So what we can do is take the open hand, and there's a couple of options here that I'm thinking would work. Is either A, we could stick his open hand in between the strap and the cosmic key itself, or we can put the strap uh, over his hand. His fingers should fit right in there, and then he can hold the cosmic key like that. So I think what I'm going to do, just to make sure I've got all these pieces kind of condensed together for now, is I'm going to pop off I'm going to leave the hand on there for now. That's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the gripping hand back on there. I'm not going to bother with the fist hand. I rarely ever do. So Max Games and Toys says one of the greatest Masterverse figures. Yeah, I know I'm sitting here nitpicking about it, but it is a really great figure. So I'm just pointing out things that are little minor things that I think could have made it better. You know what I mean? So made this already great figure an even greater figure. So I am really happy with it so far. But yeah, so let's go ahead and talk some about the articulation. Now we're going to be really careful with his head because I know he's got this long hood on here, and it's not going to allow us a lot of articulation, but we can turn it back and forth, kind of get a little bit of side to side and up and down movement out of it. But it's got that long hood. I think I've got it on there firmly now. I think it just wasn't on there firmly in the package. But yeah, not a whole lot of movement there just because of how huge this hood is, and that's obviously going to get in the way. Max Games and Toys asked what I think about the next Master of the Universe movie. I'll talk about that in a little bit. I will talk about that in a little. We'll get into that once we're done with the figure. How about that? Because I do have some things to say about the movie. Now, going back to the figure, the arms rotate all the way around the shoulders, but you're going to want to be careful of this cowl, because if you bump the cowl too much, it's going to bump the head, and that's going to cause the head to come off again. But I think I've got it on there fairly firmly now. But still, even if you put a little too much force into it, just leverage is going to be a thing. So, and then it looks like Skeletor's arms raise up to the sides about that far. He does have these, like I said, these shoulder plates on there. They're going to kind of get in the way of that a little bit. Of course, he's got a bicep swivel, so the bicep rotates all the way around. He's got double jointed elbows. That's about the range of motion you get at the elbows. They do kind of bump into the gauntlets a little bit. And the wrists rotate all the way around, and this one has a vertical hinge on it, so we can have Skeletor. We can raise his arm all the way up. Skeletor can do the "I have the power" pose. How about that? Let's put the sword in his hand so we can see that in action. Get that in there. There we go. Yeah. So Skeletor, and he does actually do that in the movie. The sword of Grayskull, mine, now and forever. So like that actually is a pose that we see in the movie with the actual He-Man sword, of course. But yeah, since he's got his own power sword, I've got it handy. I might as well use that. He does have the cool McFarlane. I'm been doing so many McFarlane figures lately. He does have the cool Mattel torso articulation, so you can move him around any which way at the torso you want to. That's pretty cool. But he's got all these armors and belts and things. It's gonna kind of bump into that a little bit. That's just gonna happen. Of course, the waist rotates all the way around. Skeletor can kick up about that far, not quite 90 degrees. It is kind of bumping into the skirt, the robe, whatever you want to call that. So it does kind of have like, it does kind of bump into that. Knocked his head off again. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're going to want to be careful with this head. So yeah, that's about the range of motion you get on that. He does have double jointed knees, which seem a little stiff on mine. And I don't know if you can see it very well, but that's the knee at its full bend. And then we have a boot cut. So the boot rotates all the way around. His feet point down about that far, point up about that far, and where the feet meets the ankle, it rotates all the way around. So pretty much the standard Masterverse articulation, what we've come to expect from this line, which is pretty decent articulation, I think. It's like out of all the figures that I open, McFarlane probably has the best articulation, but I feel like GI Joe Classified and Masterverse, they're kind of on a par with each other. I think that they both do really well. So let's go ahead and we'll get the weapons into his hands so we can see what he looks like when he's all armed up. And we already see the cosmic key on that extra hand. And like I said, I wish there was a like a hook on his belt that you could hang the cosmic key on, like he did in the movie, or a sheath for the sword. I'm a little disappointed that we don't have either one of those things. So that saddens me. But other than that, it's a pretty great figure. So, and one other thing I'll point out is that in the movie, Skeletor is basically wearing like an all black outfit. And if you see pictures of it in real life, you realize it's not actually an all black outfit. The hood is actually a very dark purple, and there actually is that kind of purplish, reddish, uh, this kind. You see like the kind of magenta almost. There is that kind of like a glittery sheen to it if you see it in real life. So this is actually accurate to the movie, but I think they kind of made it a little brighter than it really needed to be on both the hood and the armor, and it probably should have been a little more muted, but I don't care. I think it still looks good. Head over Diecast says, in the future, can you show us your favorite figure in your collection? That'd be tough because then I'd have to pick a favorite figure in my collection. But I will tell you that my favorite Batman action figure currently is the McFarlane Toys. Their gold label they had only on their website. The Detective Comics Batman, the Norm Brayfogle style Batman. That's my favorite Batman action figure, and Batman's my favorite character. So that does at least kind of narrow it down a little bit. And I already have a video up talking about that. But I'll try to have him at least pop up in a cameo at some point in the future so we can see that one again. But like all time, and this is me saying favorites, not saying best. So a lot of this is based on nostalgia, but the original Battle Armor Skeletor was my favorite Skeletor figure in the vintage Masters of the Universe line. So that's one that I really like. Uh, the This Batman here that I have. Let me see if I can get that out of the way. This Batman here, the Iron Winch Batman from the Dark Knight collection / Batman Returns. That's one of my favorite Batmans. Also, I really like that one. Migos Magnetic Batman. I really like Batman. So a lot of good Batman figures. Oh geez, I could probably just make like a top 20 Batman figures list because there's so many good Batman figures. Let me think. What would be some other ones? Uh, I think out of all the original GI Joe figures, Zartan is probably the original Zartan is the best one. And my favorite good guy out of the original GI Joe figures is the original Lieutenant Falcon. I think that is a perfect GI Joe action figure. And see, that's the other thing. It's like if what do I pick for my favorite GI Joe figure or my favorite action figure of all time? Do I go with GI Joe? Do I go with a superhero character? Do I go with Masters Universe? Do I go with Transformers? Had a lot of. I don't talk about Transformers a whole hell of a lot on this channel, but there's a lot of really great Transformers figures. Head over Diecast says I like Joker. I like Batman butt dig Joker. Butt dig. Hmm. I'm guessing autocorrect is playing tricks with that. Oh, I like Batman, but okay, I see. I was thinking of like an action figure name. I got all confused there. Maybe I am chemically enhanced. I don't know. But oh yeah, I got you now. Bobby Wald says, I like the Masterpiece Transformers, but they're expensive now. Well, they're always expensive. I've never been able to afford to buy one. I would have liked to have had that Optimus Prime one. Honestly, like I've mentioned this before, I don't buy Transformers as much as I used to, but when I do buy Transformers, it's usually because I saw an Optimus Prime I really like. So I do buy a lot of Optimus Prime. Oh yeah, like it's I just read it weird. It just went weird when I read it in my head. Head over Diecast says, my bad, I should have worded it differently. Oh yeah, like I said, I just read it weird. It happens sometimes. My brain works in odd ways sometimes. It makes connections when connections shouldn't really be there. So anyway, this is a great figure. I'm really happy with it. Like I said, I've been waiting for a proper movie Skeletor figure, and I've missed some other opportunities in the past. But I'm really happy to have this one, and I think it turned out really nicely. And Mattel definitely deserves a hand on this one. I can see why it sold out instantly on Big Bad Toy Store twice. Thankfully, I was able to get it a third time. Unfortunately, like I said, mine has a little bit of a defect to it, but maybe I'll buy a second one. Who knows? Like that might be, might give me the excuse to do that. So, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. Now, since Max had asked about that earlier, I believe it was Max. Yeah, the new Masters of the Universe movie. I am fairly cautiously optimistic about the new He-Man movie. Everything I've seen, like design-wise, from it, like the little bit of a glimpse we've gotten at He-Man's costume, the design of the sword. I think the design of the sword is just great. Like you see, I printed one out for Faker, so that's the new movie design sword. And I had figured out this was actually designed to be printed for origin size figures, but I figured out if you print it at 110%, it's the right size for Masterverse. So I've been printing out Masterverse movie swords like crazy. So I've got a purple one. This is actually an origin size one for Skeletor, and I've got some silver ones for He-Man figures. I got this orange one I printed out for Faker. So I've been having a ball with that. I might do a blue one. Like I might do them in all the colors they did in the original line. Bobby Wald says there's a pretty cool Lewin Resource Optimus Prime that's a copy of the MP10, but it's at 112 scale. That would be awesome with the classified line. That does sound awesome. Like it'd be really cool to have an Optimus Prime that was like properly scaled for like Snake Eyes to be crouching on his shoulder, like that piece of artwork that I really like. I don't remember if that was from an actual official comic or if it was just fan made, but I'm sure you know the one that I'm talking about, where it's Snake Eyes crouched on Optimus Prime's shoulder. That looked really cool. So yeah, I think the cast, for the most part, seems like a good cast. Like I like Camila Mendez and I like Allison Brie in general. So like if you cast them in a movie, I'm probably gonna be happy. I kind of feel like that would have worked really well also if those roles were reversed. I think Camila Mendez would have been a great Evelyn and Allison Brie would have been a great Tila. I think that could work either way, honestly. I like Idris Elba. Like I know a lot of people were complaining about race swapping. People are getting kind of sick of the whole race swapping thing. But honestly, in this case, I didn't mind. I just kind of was thinking he's just a good actor and he's going to do a good job playing that part. And I get why somebody might be irritated that he doesn't exactly look like the original action figure. You know what I mean? I get why some people might be irritated by that, but like I said, for me, I didn't really mind, the fact that they cast a black actor as a Caucasian character in this instance. I like there. It depends on the character as to whether or not I think that's actually a good idea. And in the case of Man at Arms, I'm kind of neutral. I don't really. I'm not really like, yes, finally we've got a brother playing Man at Arms. But I'm also not like, how dare they change Man at Arms to a different race? I don't really care. Like it's the fact that they got a good actor that I think would be good at playing that character is the more important thing. Kind of the one part of like I don't know anything about the guy playing He-Man, so I'm willing to give him a chance. You know, like but I don't know whether or not he's going to be good. I'm hoping he'll be good. Uh, the one thing that I would have done differently as far as the cast goes, I know for certain, is I would not have gone with Jared Leto as Skeletor. And I actually think he's a pretty decent actor. I mean, the guy is an Oscar winner, but he's even before this latest scandal that was going around about him, where people were talking about him grooming underage fans, or I don't want to get into all that because I don't know a whole lot about it, but I know a lot of people were making that a lot of people were having a problem with that. So, but even before then, he's just a guy that just seems kind of problematic to me in a lot of ways, and I keep hearing a lot of horror stories about him from the the Suicide Squad shoot, and how he was like sending people weird stuff as gifts because he was trying to get into character. And oh, this is the sort of thing the Joker would do, and I'm just kind of like, ew. But also, like, Jared Leto, just to me, he doesn't really seem like that much of a box office draw. Like, I can't think of the last time that Jared Leto was in a movie where people were like, let's go see that Jared Leto movie. I don't think anybody's ever said that. And he's been in some movies that have done well. And like I said, I think he's actually a pretty good actor. He'll probably do fine playing Skeletor. I don't know, but it's like it's one of those things where I kind of feel like at this point in his career, uh, Jared Leto is more of a detraction from your potential at the box office than he is a positive. That's my that's my problem with Jared Leto. It's nothing against him as an actor because I actually think he's a pretty decent actor. But yeah, I would not have cast him as Skeletor. I think I would have gone with somebody else. So let's see. Go back to some of the stuff that I might have missed while I was going off on that little rant. And Earth Dude says, new Masters of the Universe movie is it real? I keep seeing AI renditions from I've seen pictures from the set. I've seen pictures of the actors in the costumes. Tila's costume is pretty decent. I think it would have been better if it didn't have long pants, which it does. I've seen pictures of the guy playing Prince Adam in regular Earth clothes, and he's got a pink shirt with a white T-shirt underneath it, so he looks like what Prince Adam would be wearing if he was wearing normal Earth clothes. So I like that. I'm hoping he'll be good as He-Man. I really am. Uh, and then I've seen a few teaser images of the He-Man costume. Not enough that we get a really close look at it, but he's wearing what you think of He-Man is wearing. You know, excuse me. He's got like the crossed straps, and he's got the loincloth and the bracers, and you know like with the Dolph Lundgren costume, I don't feel like they've got enough fur on it. But for the most part, it looks kind of decent. It reminds me a lot of the Mondo 12-inch figures. I'll say that. Uh, Bobby Wald says, "Did you happen to watch the Hasbro HasLab stream this morning? For some reason, Cobra Commander, whatever voice acted him. Sorry, whoever read that wrong. Whoever voice acted him sounded just like Mark Hamill's Joker. I wouldn't be surprised if they got Mark Hamill to do that because he seems to be the go-to guy for cartoon villains. I mean, he was Skeletor also. So, but no, I didn't see that. I'll have to check that out. Or Mark Hamill's Skeletor. Yeah, see, great minds think alike." Head over Diecast says, I don't think anyone I no, I don't think anyone has ever said that. Have to agree. Yeah. And then that would have been the Jared Leto thing. And Earth Dude says, "Oh, good, it's not Jason Momoa as He-Man." I'm surprised they didn't go with that, though. Honestly, because again, he seems to be the guy they go to for the big buff dude these days. But he already played Conan, and I thought he was a pretty good Conan. So, the movie itself was not good. I did not like that movie, but I thought he was a good Conan. And the main reason I go back and watch it again every now and then is because I really like Jason Momoa as Conan. Max Games and Toys says, "See you soon, Alan friend." Well, I will see you soon, Max friend. Then. So always nice to see you stop by. And says, "Really amazing figure. Yes, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'm gonna once I get this Dolph Lundgren head painted up for my Masterverse figure. I'll take some pictures of them together. So they've got Blade on the way. I don't think he's come out yet, but I need to get Blade. I need to get Evil Lynn because she's already out. And I mentioned before there's that Gwildor Orko 2-pack. So it's not exactly the design from the movie. It's what he looked like in Revolution, but I think it's close enough. So anyway, Earth Dude says Arnold Conan every day. I absolutely agree. Like the first Conan the Barbarian movie is an excellent film, and it is clearly the best Conan movie. And then Conan the Destroyer is just kind of like fun, kitschy schlock, but I can still watch it. I still enjoy watching it. The Momoa Conan was a bad movie. Like it's not even like as entertaining to me as Conan the Destroyer is. But I did really like Momoa as Conan. I feel like if you're a fan of the original Robert E. Howard books, he's actually closer to what that character was in the books. So that's what I enjoy about the Momoa version of Conan. But Arnold as Conan, I kind of feel like was able to bring it more sort of like a quiet strength. He didn't have a lot of dialogue because they didn't trust Arnold to have a lot of dialogue back in those days, but he didn't really need it. You know what I mean? He was able to, like, I think, get through that role just on sheer charisma, and his acting is fine. He does fine with the acting, but he's not as good of an actor as he would get to later as he built his craft. I kind of feel like it's a shame that we did not get a Conan movie with Arnold where he was actually at peak Arnold, unless you count Predator as a Conan movie. And I know you're saying he's not playing Conan in that because he's playing like a contemporary 1980s soldier. But if Conan was a guy in the 1980s, he would have been Dutch. Like, think about it. Like that was Conan. If Conan was immortal and lived into the modern day, or somehow time traveled like he actually did in the Marvel Comics What If series, uh, yeah, he would he would be Dutch in Commando. That's what he would be. Uh, Bobby Wald says, "I'm surprised The Rock didn't try to do Conan, but then again, I think it's in his contract. He needs a uh, he needs a jungle background, and well, they could take Conan to the jungle. He'd been in the jungle in the novels. So Conan went all over the place in the original Robert E. Howard stories. He'd go to, like, the frozen north. He'd go to the desert. He'd go to, the jungles, the forest. He'd go wherever the action was, man. Like if he had a goal, he would go there. Like, if it was some kind of treasure he was going to plunder, or some kind of kingdom he was going to conquer, or some kind of wench that he was going to defile. It's like that's Conan in the books. Like, he'd go all over the place. But yeah, it would have been great to see more of Arnold as Conan. I think they could still do it. They could still do one more. They could do an old man Conan, like him as the king, like we were promised all those. Do the last Conan story, because one thing that Robert E. Howard never did was he never did a story with the death of Conan. So I think it would be really cool to see that last Conan story. What is best in life? Asked Earth Dude. To crush your enemies, to see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of the women. And of course, that's not a line from Robert E. Howard. That is actually a quote from Genghis Khan, which is a character that was actually very influential in the creation of Conan. He based Conan very much off of Genghis Khan, and the people making the movie were very smart to pick up on that. So especially John Milius, I think he was the one who put that line into the script. So, and he was doing it very much as an homage to Genghis Khan. So very cool. So anyway, that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, if that's possible, because I opened up a Skeletor action figure, so obviously I had a blast. But hopefully you guys had fun watching. If you did, please make sure you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. This is going to be a Masters of the Universe kind of week. I've got a lot of stuff coming. Faker, I think is going to be the next thing I'm going to open up, because I did print out this sword especially for my Masterverse faker. So we're going to have fun with that. And that's going to be the next episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about Skeletor, both the character itself and this figure. Let me know what you think. Room reveal one day. Oh no, my room's a mess. I gotta pick up this room, and I do have a lot more stuff that I want to put on the wall back here. There's some stuff I want to rearrange. Head over to Diecast says I was looking at your videos. Wow, yeah, some of those are at my old place and my old place before the old place, but I try to make the background look as interesting as possible. So I am going to put some more stuff back here. I want to try to put more shelves on the wall so I can display more figures, because there's a lot of empty wall space here and not a lot of empty floor space. So I'm thinking what'll be best is to actually put shelves on the wall. And maybe once I get it into some kind of shape, maybe then I'll do a video where you get to see this room here and some other stuff maybe. So, but that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna go take the picture for the thumbnail. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.